So let's talk about how not to hate your next job interview. And in a second, I think we can go into some of these models that you've spoken about. Uh, but just a couple of primer questions that I think people want to hear. First of all, what are some top mistakes that you see job seekers are making in the interview? And then I'll transition to, I think, like wastes of time for job interview prep. But yeah, what are some mistakes? Let's talk about the negative stuff.
In the interview, in the actual interview, I would say there's a couple big ones that stick out. The first would be to not take advantage of your opening statement. And what I mean by that is when an interviewer starts the interview, they got your resume and they say, "Can you tell me about yourself or walk me through your experiences?" A lot of interviewers just kind of take that as like a warm-up question. "Oh, sure, I did this and this and this, and I'm really excited to be here. Now let's get to the meat." That's actually not what the interviewer is asking. The interviewer is asking, "Can you just tell me why you're the perfect person for this job and why I should stop my search right now and hire you?" Because that's all I want to do. I don't want to interview 20 other people. I want to hire someone really good. So just tell me why that's you. And so when someone says, "Tell me about yourself," candidates should look at this as an opportunity to show them that they're qualified through their experiences, to show them through their experiences that they get results, and then to tell them that they're super interested in this company by the story that they weave together in that opening statement. So they shouldn't take 30 seconds to, "Oh, I did this and that." They should take a solid 3 minutes to prove those things so that by the end, the interviewer is like, "Dang, this person brought their A game. This person is here to win."
Yeah.
So that's a big one. Just it's so important not to waste that opener.
Yeah.
The second thing that I see is on behavioral based questions, which typically are the meat of most interviews, which are like, "Tell me about a time when you did this." A lot of times people, when asked for a specific story, don't give a specific story. They don't answer the question directly. They say, "Tell me about a time when you were a great leader." They'll say, "Oh, leadership is really important. I've been given feedback that I'm a great leader. I have an open door policy. I care about my people," which is all fine and good, but that didn't answer the question. The way to answer that question is, "Sure, last week I had a situation where I had an employee that was whatever, and let me tell you exactly what I did to solve that problem and the result that came of it." That is how you answer that question, and to being very specific. You're asked for a specific example, give a specific example.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned stories. I think about things that are memorable just in general. If someone's giving a talk, a presentation, a lecture, sometimes the only thing I'll remember from the entire hour or whatever are just the stories, like those two impactful stories that were told. So
it makes such a difference. I mean, stories are irrefutable. Facts and figures are debatable. Stories are memorable. Facts and figures are forgettable. And everything about stories is just perfect for the job interview. I mean, people say, "How do I not brag in an interview?" It's like, tell a story. Just let the story you're telling do the bragging. And you don't have to say, "I'm great, I'm amazing." Just tell them what you did that was great and amazing. And then they'll draw their own conclusions about you being great and amazing.
Yeah. So top mistakes, I guess time wasters, do you think job seekers are making when it comes to preparing for the interview? I think most people can get on board with just put some time into it. But yeah, what have you seen in terms of like how people are not spending their time well?
I think there's probably a lot of people who have listened to Hamilton the musical. There's a scene where Aaron Burr tells Hamilton to talk less, smile more, right? There's a scene where he does that. I would say actually read less, talk more. And what I mean by that is a lot of people try to prepare by continuing to read and study up on the company. They go online and they try to, do everything, understand the company, and they fail to actually practice their responses and to actually talk out loud what their responses are. It actually baffles me, Chris, that people will practice. They'll have their kids practice 3 hours a day of football, which will probably get them nowhere. But they won't practice for more than a half hour of their job interview. I mean, it's just crazy to me. This is what you're going to be spending the rest of your life doing potentially.
Yes.
And then the failure to practice is just crazy. And I get it. It's uncomfortable. Role playing is the worst. I hate it. I don't want to role play. It feels awkward. I feel stupid, cheesy, or whatever. But in my coaching, it's the first thing I'll do is I'll do mock interviews because the improvement is so dramatic between 0 mock interviews and 1 and between 1 and 2. It's probably worth 20 hours of sitting there reading about the company online, just a couple hours of mock interviewing.
Because of those stakes, as you mentioned at the very beginning, why people hate interviews so much, because it's just like, oh, everything kind of rides on this. Well, maybe kind of treat it that way a little bit more by putting some time into it in the very beginning, even though it's uncomfortable. People feel like it may not be a good use of their time sometimes.
That's right.
But it really
it's
is
painful. And well, I can't remember the book, Common Denominator of Success, doing things that other people don't want to do. A lot of people don't want to do these mock interviews, but those that endure the pain and make the improvements get the jobs.